Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tasia and I love talking about work from home life as well as sharing some YouTube and social media tips. And today we're going to be talking about work from home burnout. It's starting to come out more and more that sometimes working from home can lead to burnout quicker than if you're working in an office. So today we're going to be talking about what exactly work from home burnout even is and how can we avoid it. Let's talk about what burnout even is exactly. So let's first get into what characterizes you experiencing burnout. So the very first thing is if you're feeling that you are lacking energy or feeling exhausted, then you might be experiencing burnout. And we're talking about not staying up super late and not getting enough sleep. You're doing all the right things, and yet even the thought of working or every time you sit down at your desk, you're feeling already drained and exhausted. The second thing is that you're feeling cynical and unengaged with your work. So if you find yourself constantly criticizing your workplace, if you're criticizing your managers or your coworkers, if you're feeling really unattached to the work that you're doing or you're not feeling passionate about it anymore, you could be experiencing burnout. And lastly, if you see a drop in productivity, if you have a number of things on your to-do list and you are really struggling to get through it, it also could be a sign that you're experiencing burnout. Now that I've been working from home for a significant period of time, I've definitely experienced some of these signs of burnout. I've definitely experienced a drop in my productivity, and I've also experienced work creep or schedule creep, and that is when you find yourself working a little bit longer each day, or normally and you had your typical boundaries between the 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever your hours are, and then you find yourself starting work earlier, or you find yourself working later and later each day. And my family has definitely called me out on this, that typically I'd be signing off at 4:30, and yet more and more I find myself still working at 5:30, even 6, and my family's like, why are you still working? And I often don't even notice that it's even happening. So I have a number of tips that I've definitely had to incorporate into my work from home life that I hope might help you really avoid work from home burnout and really avoid some of that work creep where it starts to really blend into your personal life and take away from your downtime and your family time. The very first tip is to create boundaries and protect your time. You can do that by making sure that you have your set schedule and really making sure that you hold yourself accountable to sticking to that schedule. Don't start your workday earlier than you should. Don't end it later than you should unless there are exceptional circumstances or a particular project requires you to do overtime. Many people have reported that working from home has caused them to work later and later each day, and a lot of that time is just ourselves not making sure that we are cutting off our workday as we should. When you are already home, it's so much harder to physically get yourself up and move yourself somewhere else in the house versus when you're working in the office, you are changing your complete geographic location. So you're getting up and packing up, leaving, getting in a car or getting on a bus. You're doing something that really shifts your environment versus when you're working from home, you're already home. So it's harder to make that distinction and really sort of jar yourself from the difference of when you're working and when you're supposed to be having your personal time or your downtime. I use little things to help me really focus on remembering to protect my boundaries. And what I've been doing lately is that I have one of those Google Homes or Google Hubs, and I will set little timers and reminders.
It's 4:30 p.m. It's time to wrap up work and plan for dinner.
Or you can also do that if you have like a smartwatch, or you can do it on your phone or even on your computer itself. And I set these little reminders to tell me about when to get up or when to start packing up at the end of the day. And I find this is really helpful to set little triggers to remind me of what time it is and not just let time creep away and I find myself working all hours into the night. So my second tip to avoid work from home burnout, and this is probably one of my most important ones, if you don't take anything from this video, I highly recommend this is the one that you take, and that is making sure that you turn off your notifications on your phone. So I have a number of apps on my phone that I use for work. We use Teams, we use Slack, we use Outlook, and it's so easy to have all of these notifications popping up on your phone whenever someone sends you an email or sends you a chat message. And I found it that even if I was technically off the clock, every time one of these notifications would pop up on my phone, I would feel inclined to answer it or to look at it. And therefore you never actually really disconnect from your work. You're still always plugged in, and that definitely leads to burnout because your brain isn't getting that rest. You aren't turning off your brain from thinking about all of your work tasks and all the things that you need to do in each and every day. So 100% turn off your notifications when you are not working, especially on the weekends, because you will find yourself always getting sucked back into working something, or just telling yourself you're just gonna answer this one little email, and then next thing you know, you are working more and more hours every week. My third tip is to do one thing at a time. Try not to overwhelm yourself with doing a number of different things, particularly when you're working from home. When I first started working from home, I thought, oh, this is great. I can do laundry while I'm in a meeting, or I can clean while I'm taking a phone call. And I found myself trying to cram too many things in a day. And then I realized I really needed to create more boundaries and determine, hey, I am at work, and if I was at work, I would not be able to do a load of laundry. So I encourage you that when it's work time, to remind yourself that it's just work time. You don't need to get to everything that you need to do on your to-do list, whether it's your personal life and your work life all at once. Just because you're home does not mean that you are accessible to doing other tasks throughout the day that are not involved with your work. And try to avoid doing too many tasks at once, because that's definitely going to lead to you feeling exhausted and burned out. I only have one exception to this rule, and that is that sometimes if I'm listening in on a conference call and I don't particularly need to talk on that call, I just need to listen to what's taking place, then sometimes I'll use that time to get myself a snack or lunch or something on those lines, especially when I have a number of meetings back to back throughout the day. I find it very useful to take that time to grab a snack and do something else, but otherwise I really try to only do one thing at a time, just as much as I would if I was working in an office. My fourth tip is to try to carve out some social time during the day while you're working from home. And I don't mean taking away from your work time, but I mean that when you're having a break time or lunchtime, try to still engage with some friends or a coworker. I find that's one of the definite things I miss about working in an office, is that typically you would have a quick chat with somebody, or you head out to lunch with your coworkers, and you have that social aspect that really helps lighten the mood and take away some of the stress. So you have to figure out ways to do that even when you're working from home. What I'll do is, like, one of my good friends will set like a time a couple times a week or once a week. We just meet up over a video conference and we chat about things that have nothing to do with work, or we make jokes and we have fun while we're eating a snack or we're eating our lunch. It's a quick way to refresh ourselves and feel a little more energetic, and still feel like you are not just doing the drudgery of work all day long while you're working from home, but you still have some sort of social aspect in it as well. My fifth tip is to move your body and change your location every day. And what I do is make sure that you're always trying to take a walk or get outside. I find it so incredibly easy to stay inside all day while you're working from home, and it's not healthy at all. So make sure that you find some time to get outside, go for a bike ride, go for a walk, do something to move your body. Or I'll work out. Often I'll work out during my lunch hour, because I find I'm not the best at getting up very, very early. I'm not one of those 5 a.m.ers where I work out, but instead I like to get to my work and then break up the day with some exercise. And then I find it really kind of helps with that 3 p.m. crash where you start to feel more sluggish after your lunch hour. So I find if I work out, it really invigorates me and gives me more energy for the rest of my day. So that's a way that I move my body. And I also try to find ways to change my location as well. So either I will find, I'll set aside a time where I decide to work somewhere else in the house. Sometimes it gets monotonous to sit at your desk all day long. Sometimes I'll take my laptop outside and do some work out there. Other things are starting to open up again. You can take your laptop and head to a coffee shop for a few hours and work there. So there's definitely some flexible options to change your location and not get into the monotony of looking at the same thing every day. When you're working from home, you can definitely feel like your work from home setting becomes really repetitive. Just find ways that you can change it up once or twice a week and find somewhere else to go. Changing your location every once in a while can really reinvigorate you and make you feel like you're not in this time loop or the hamster wheel where you're just getting up and doing the same thing every single day. And my last tip is to make sure that when you are off, so when you are on leave or you're taking any sort of vacation time, that you actually unplug. Don't get into the habit of taking a day off, but you're still answering emails, or taking a day off, yet you're still gonna call into just that one meeting. If your brain doesn't feel that you're getting a hard stop between work and personal time or work and rest, then you are definitely going to get to burnout much faster. So you really need to ensure that whenever you're taking off time, you are actually off. You are unplugged from what is happening at at work. You can tell people, hey, if it's an emergency, text me or call me, but otherwise I'm turning off my notifications. I'm not gonna be checking my emails. I'm not gonna be calling into any meeting. Make sure that you actually disconnect from that work so that your mind can go into a place of rest and relaxation and do some personal time that will help energize you so that you can get back to work and feel extra productive. Those are my tips for avoiding work from home burnout. I hope they're really helpful for you because they've definitely helped me as I've incorporated them into my work from home routine. If you'd like to see more content like this, you can definitely check out one of my last videos where I did work from home hacks. I shared some of my greatest tips that I have figured out while I've been working from home for over a year. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see lots of content just like this one. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I will see you next week. That's not the word I'm looking for. What is that word I'm trying to say? If you have a number, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I can't. What word am I looking for? Let's go.